Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Rambles, the show where two teams adopt opposite sides of a philosophical discussion in order to uncover some profound thoughts about music. In today's episode, we will take a look at popular music of the 21st century, more specifically, Look What You Made Me Do by Taylor Swift, and we will explore it through the lens of Theodor Adorno's critique of popular music. Our teams today are going to be either pro Adorno or burn Adorno. Speaking of which, let me introduce them to you. On your far left, you have Maha, which is on Team Burn Adorno, joined by our buddy, Fila. Our team buddies for pro Adorno are Demke and Janine. How do you think Adorno's philosophy and critique of popular music is relevant to popular music of the 21st century?
Well, I think Adorno was extremely critical of popular music. He argues that this popular music, or more commonly known to him as vulgar music, has become simplistic to suit our needs. The problem is that we have started to neglect a concept of music that is artistically valuable. Adorno says that this is because the culture industry itself constantly promises anew and perpetually cheats its consumers of what it perpetually promises. He warns us that popular music is retrogressive. The audience no longer focuses on works that are complex and take time to understand. Rather, they seek music that is suited to what they believe their needs are. So music that is simplistic and extremely conforming.
Adorno's critique on popular music is based solely on his 20th century music critique, whereas the aesthetics was no longer there. His philosophical approach is anti-systematic and fragmentary. Therefore, it can be justly called a methodology rather than a philosophy. Adorno doesn't fancy an absolute truth, since he does not conceive of truth as being a positive and fixed. Adorno only defines works of art in a negative light. That is, what it may or may not be. Therefore, what is good music may not or may be good music. He contradicts himself immensely. It is not, in my opinion, relevant anymore because he was stuck in an age of very little technology. He was an elitist who believed in only music for the educated and the upper class. That's why I criticized jazz so much, because it was music for the people. And popular music could be argued is music for the people. So maybe the argument is that Adorno doesn't like the music because it doesn't like the people.
And how would this argument then be relevant to the music video that I have just shown you?
Well, I think this argument would be very relevant to Adorno's concept of the cultural industries, which are self-perpetuating and lead to the commodification of art, which is standardized and mass-produced and packaged for large audience, which retrogressively consumes it in a passive sense. And in fact, you could ask, is this not true today than ever? In our frantic and ever more mechanized lives, we need to consume things with very limited leisure time. We do this fast, we do it without discerning between what is quality art and what is merely mindless distraction. In the music industry, this is often manifested in materialism, greed, status, and sexual desire. All the commodities of our power-hungry existence in an increasingly restricted society, struggling with the often meaningless daily drudgery of work and survival. Adorno was very steadfast in his beliefs about popular or vulgar music, and I think he would have been horrified by modern music and pop culture in general, of which pop music has become one of the most influential and lucrative components. Although it has seemingly developed and changed much in the last 80 years or so, it is still so similar to Adorno's criticisms of popular music of his own time. Today, much of the music we are presented with by the mass media is heavily commercialized, standardized and simplified music products, which are being marketed and sold through the sheer seduction to an often passive and undiscerning audience, which consumes what they are presented with eager ignorance, as if they have few original ideas of their own.
His critique, especially considering now that music has vastly changed, would be very poor due to the simplicity of the video, and its message to the public is more derivative of wanting attention and wanting more understanding of aesthetics that don't necessarily pertain to the actual music and to what the music is trying to prevail. The importance of the video lies more in its artistic value and its representation, which is still a good value to the music because it does bring out other important aspects that the viewers can relate to now. Adorno would be more critical of that value because it doesn't pertain to the music's true understanding or identity, as well as the artist's intentions.
Considering popular music, how could Adorno's philosophical thinking apply to the commercialization of music in relation to the artistic integrity of music?
With a music video like the one we've just watched, it's obvious that there are huge costs that go into such a video. Not just that, but a whole collaborative team that's involved. And the problem is that when a producer or an investor has to fork out a certain amount of capital to produce a video like this, they're going to want a guaranteed return of investment. Music is, notoriously unpredictable. You don't know always what's going to be a hit and what's not. So you tend to stick to certain general principles that you believe are going to succeed, and often that involves also appealing to the widest possible audience. It doesn't help to make a video that has a niche audience or that addresses very specific issues. You need to make a video that everyone can relate to. And this can be unfortunate in terms of autonomous music or artistic freedom, in the sense that commercialization will dictate what is required of a video.
So due to the commercialization of, and not even that, the technology and the advancement within the world, it changes a lot of how the music is portrayed and represented. Not even that, but also how the music is performed, how it is accessible to people now. Within Adorno's time, more focused within the structure of radio music, and he saw this as a more dangerous aspect. He was more critical of their understanding of what this kind of technology can do to music and how it can affect it and affect the way in which people respond to it. Technology is a good aspect towards advancing music, especially in this light, because we were able to see so many more contributions to the actual art because of what technology and commercialization has done.
And how would this be applicable to this specific song by Taylor Swift?
So I think this song by Taylor Swift is a song written to emphasize the blame that it places on enemies that are specific to Taylor Swift. There's been talk about the fact that she's feuding with certain celebrities, and as a result she's written a song where she mentions that she is getting rid of her reputation, her good girl reputation, and she no longer cares about the critics, and she is focused entirely on herself and what she stands for as a person, first of all, and second of all as a musician. But this is a problem with music today, is it is no longer written for music's sake. The artistic intention is now only to relay the message that the artist is bidding farewell to her reputation. So basically, it's not about her writing music for music's sake necessarily. The song is actually boring, yet it's a fashion trend, and she is using this to get her message across. So she's basically abusing music, essentially. And the musical aspect of the song is incapable of sending this message alone. Without the video, in fact, the music would actually almost be not nearly as meaningful as the song by itself. So the impact on the artist's ability to create a work that is true to the music, yet overlooked because of the busy nature of popular music.
So savage.
Well, I would say that nothing about music has changed in history, because the artist is born when the music is sold or when the painting is sold. So from the beginning, artists sort of knew that this is a job, this is a profession. I mean, doctors get paid for their services, why shouldn't musicians? We study this thing, and it's unfair to say that the music is boring, because it's the marriage of two things. It's the marriage of video with music. Think of all the time and talent that went into writing this song, producing it. I mean, all the outfits needed to be made, all the video equipment, all the editing. It's not just something that falls out of the sky. Some people sat down and thought about this, and therefore it's unfair to say it was commercialized. Music was commercial from the start.
Considering Adorno's philosophy, how do you think Adorno would have perceived this music in relation to autonomous music?
Adorno basically says that autonomous music is music that lacks a direct social function. So basically, it's music written for music's sake. Music shouldn't be written for commodity purposes. Music should not be standardized to please a wide audience variety. Music should be written holistically for the integrity of music itself as an art.
Adorno believed that music lost its residual social function since it's no longer composed for a specific event. Today's economic environment is as such that you have to have food and insurance, you have to live somewhere and drive a car. And I mean, it's just no longer acceptable to think that an artist can just chill the whole day and just write music for music's sake. Music and art is commercial because it's a job.
Absolutely, and I agree that this maybe could be a flaw in Adorno's thinking, but let's also understand that this is not necessarily his concept of autonomous music. He says autonomous music is music that is true to itself, so music that doesn't necessarily comply with the rules of commercialization or necessarily even serve a social function. And he says this is music that is extremely, extremely pure. Obviously, there may be problems in terms of this music actually being feasible and possible, yet he does say that this music would essentially be music that is true to itself and artistically holistic and essentially, in his terms, autonomous.
True. I just find it very hard to the notion that Adorno takes the listener's own critical thinking away from himself. I mean, when you listen to today's music, you still think about it. Oh, is it good? Is it not? Autonomy is normally taking to that art is governed by its own rules and laws, and that artistics makes no reference to social political function. And social autonomy fosters the individual rather than social taste. And if you think about all the platforms today, it's all about us, the individual, no longer about what everybody thinks.
Absolutely, and I think this is a whole concept where Adorno maybe hasn't refined his theory. We need to understand, though, that this was his concept of autonomy. There may be flaws and there may not be flaws, but I think this is just the whole concept of his idea of autonomous music.
The last point I just quickly want to make is that popular music, it can be autonomous music as well, because think of Mozart's music where he wrote for the public specifically, and that was popular, even though it was autonomous.
No, absolutely, absolutely.
How would he have perceived this specific music video?
I think he would be very hesitant to even call this music video work of art, because he believes that art has to be autonomous from the needs, the commercial needs that are obvious in this context. I think he would be intrigued by how this music video attempts to almost critique itself. He does say that autonomous music should critique itself through its own structure. I would call this almost a sort of false autonomy, because although it does seem to be critiquing aspects of modern consumerist society, it's doing so only to sell itself. So it is completely part of that system. It still contains all the elements that Adorno would have associated with vulgar music, even though you can complement it in terms of production value, in terms of the choreography, the cinematography. There are many good things about this video. But the music, as we said before, is actually not as nearly as exciting as the video. And the music is still very much in line with what Adorno considers vulgar music. Take the main hook, the melody, for instance. It's two notes. You know? Na 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 na. That's the melody. The harmony is very simplistic, and the rhythms are essentially dance rhythms. So I would definitely say that this music would not be considered autonomous by Adorno.
Team Pro did mention that there are good things about this video. It does have artistic value. I think it's important to acknowledge what the video is representing. Despite its two-note hook, it has great value in what it's trying to portray. Maybe not musically, but visually, there's some good content there that viewers can understand and relate to. Even though Adorno is more focused on trying to have music that reflects art or reflects some form of autonomous art, I think it's more important to look at the music internally and see what it's actually trying to say to the viewer, not necessarily what is always being heard or portrayed, but the pure message of the actual video.
Adorno has mentioned how technology changes the way we understand, consume, and appreciate modern music. How have the new mediums through which music is brought to the masses, such as television and the internet, influenced the way that listeners perceive and consume music in the 21st century?
In Adorno's time, first of all, because it was difficult to record music, the record labels actually acted in a sense as gatekeepers and would control what was put out there. Everyone can create their own products and put it out there, and there's just millions of different pieces of music, and there's no way to know what you want or what is even good in such a sea of music. Those that control the mass media, that are in charge of things like advertising on social media and such, are going to be the new gatekeepers, and they can essentially tell the audience what they should want to watch. I think that technology, in this sense, has not freed up choice as much as it could have. The other big issue, I think, with technology today, especially with music, is the issue of digital piracy. There's so many talented musicians that are struggling to make any money off of their art. They often have to resort to other means to try and do so, other than creating completely autonomous art. Unless you are at the Taylor Swift level, where you still have producers and marketing people to help you, you're going to have to do everything yourself. And I think that this is quite a challenge.
There's a lot of things that we need to consider in the 20th century, like for instance the development of the ear, with all the new sounds that was being brought about. Theodor Adorno needs to remember that there is such a thing as copyright, which was not in our society prior to the 20th century. He says it's standardized, but it's not, because if you copy Taylor Swift's song and you produce it today, you'll get sued, because it's still an offense. It's still a work of art that is copyrighted. Looking at someone like Taylor Swift with this music and the technology that developed from the 60s, where it was just radio, today we are such a big platform, and it's the individual that's important. And when you think about the population, we're 7.6 billion people today. I mean, it costs about $3,000, or what was $3 million to sort of produce an artist today. It is expensive, and therefore they have sort of given us these key figures to make them popular because of the cost. Because music is a commodity still, and even though the technology developed, it's still the same thing.
What would this mean for the music video?
Firstly, this is Taylor Swift using technology to convey the message that should be displayed in her work of music. The day of the release of this new song, she posted on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, and she said, listen, I'm releasing a new song, and this is what it is about. This is my clean slate. This is me starting over. So this was her marketing campaign. This is what she was advised to do, and this is what clearly worked, because it made people excited to listen to her music, and it made people aware of the message that she would be sending in her music. But this is the problem with music. She had to use technology, she had to use social media to be able to convey what is said in her, or what the message is. It is no longer about what the music itself represents, it is more about what the added extras have to say about Taylor Swift. Spelling out to us what the music video and what the music is about is not a sense of her artistic integrity, or her composing music or writing music or even singing music for music's sake. It is now about what message she wants to get across to the audience, the fact that she is bringing to the table, the fact that she wants to get a message across to the listeners, and this is what we need to understand from her music. We are bombarded by these social media aspects. She is topping every hit chart in as many countries as possible. And before we know it, we are subjected to listening to this music that we're not even sure we even like. She feels like she needs to progress with her listeners. So she feels like her listeners are aging, and she wants to create music that is that her listeners would enjoy, and that she feels like they want to know that she's evolving with them, and she wants to show them that she is. Are we evolving with Taylor Swift? Or are we changing with her, and are we actually enjoying her music? Or are we just, does technology no longer give us a choice? Are we just being thrown this concept of music, thrown this idea of music that is no longer artistically valid?
What is wrong with you guys? Honestly, I don't understand, because we have so much choice. I feel we choose what we want to listen to. We are human beings. We're not controlled by these social mediums. If anything, that's our choice to be brainwashed. This whole thing of technology and the market and commercialization and everything, it makes sense. And I agree that she has a big audience, she's well known, she has a lot of influence over society. I completely understand and agree with that. But my issue is there's nothing wrong with using technology to showcase your art. It's a platform that we have now. It's something we utilize every day. So you can't blame Taylor Swift for using technology or using social mediums to progress her art, because that's the only way we can actually access it. Also this thing of there's too much music. We want all this music. We want to access everything that's around us, because it's not enough for us. We can't be having this little container of just classical music and that's all we're ever going to listen to. We want to evolve. We're constantly developing. So I think it's very unfair to say that now we must contain whatever we have because it's dangerous to people. I think that's completely out of line. What do you contain and what do you give? You can't decide what people want. It's back to the same argument of just choice. So, sorry guys. Next time.
That's all for this episode, folks, and we wish you happy rambles.
Everyone tells me he's no good, he doesn't love me like he should. I would forget him if I only could. He's a demon, he's a devil, he's a But man can look me in the eye and tell the biggest, sweetest lie, and I forget that lipstick on his tie. He's a demon, he's a devil.